All right, so I actually just made another video about this, and I'm going to try to, I guess, give a little bit better demonstration. I'm going to upload the other one, but this one hopefully will show. Because you might think like, oh, well, what's the big deal? So here in the settings of this iPhone 6, I didn't realize that it actually had power still. Can you see it? Yeah, there it is. All right, so we're in the sound settings, and I can control the ringer volume with the volume buttons over here. And if you can see, there's still a little bit of sound that's going to come out. So if I let that go away, we're going to come to this screen. All right. And even though I go all the way to the end, there's still some sound. So in my opinion, that's stupid. Okay, I want it to be silent. But through the volume buttons, through the interface on the screen, I can't do that. I physically have to use this switch, which, in my opinion, is stupid. Well, why can't I control the volume through the volume buttons completely? Because technically, the volume buttons are incomplete. These are volume buttons, and you're telling me I can't turn the volume off. So I think it's dumb that this is even a way that Apple implements their volume control. So for those of you who might not have been like, oh, wait a minute, I can silence. Oh, Jesus, this battery's really dying. I can silence my phone, but yeah, you'd have to go into settings to, to do some stuff. Like it's too much work. The volume buttons should control the volume fully. Okay, like hard stop right there, fully. And they don't. You need additional hardware to control the volume. And of course, if you want to control whether or not the phone vibrates while it's silent, then you got to come into the settings, and it's just too much. And I already showed that Android does it differently. They did it differently in the past, and then they made some changes, so forth and so forth. So for those of you who might not have been aware that you cannot completely silence your phone without either going into the settings or, you can't completely silence your phone without using the volume switch. And then, of course, you can't turn off vibrate without going into the settings. But yes, there's do not disturb, which if that's what you want to do, by all means, you can set it to do not disturb. But if you don't want to do that, you just say, hey, I just want no sound and no vibration. I got to hit that switch, go into the settings, turn off vibration. That's a bit much. And yeah, there might be other ways to do it at this point, but I'm honestly not sure. And you might think, well, wait a minute, who doesn't know this? Or maybe, somebody's late to the party. I don't know. But I think maybe about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I was talking to a friend, and she is a little bit older, but she was, she has an iPhone, whatever. I mean, it's not like it's her first iPhone, but she somewhat recently was, I think, like in a forum, I'll say like an educational forum where things needed to be silent. And, the phone starts ringing and she's like, okay, let me just, you would assume, hey, let me just turn it down, turn off, decline the phone call, boom, volume buttons go down. But she noticed that no matter what she attempted to do, the phone continued to make noise whenever she got some type of notification. And turn this phone off, man. This battery is really, does this not? They made the phone harder to turn off. There we go. but here we are, a full-fledged intelligent adult who is thinking, oh yeah, these volume buttons should control the volume. I should be able to turn the volume to max using these buttons, and I should be able to turn the volume to complete minimum, which is no sound, using these volume buttons. But she wasn't able to do it. And while we were talking on the phone, I mentioned the mute switch. I forget exactly how we got on the topic, but I said, oh yeah, you can't turn the volume completely down without that little switch on the side. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, that makes sense. And that's when she told me the story. I was like, yeah, I think that's stupid, and we talked a little bit more about it and so forth and so forth. But for those of you who weren't sure about whether or not you can control the volume completely just with the volume buttons, you can't. You have to go and use that little hardware switch, which is stupid. And then, yes, you even in the settings, sliding the ringer or notification sound doesn't actually silence it completely, even when it's all the way down. So again, I will be perfectly fine seeing the hardware volume switch disappear. What are your thoughts and opinions on the matter? We'll see what Apple does with their implementation of it as time goes on. My guess, and not even a guess, just it'll be interesting to see that there's going to be some type of segmentation now, which segmentation of the utmost littlest or smallest importance. If these buttons are capacitive, which, not really related to what I'm saying here, but if there's no mute switch on newer phones, that presumably would mean that you should be able to control the volume all the way, either using the volume buttons or in the settings in iOS. So if that version of iOS is running on the iPhone 15 and you have iOS running on, and let's say the latest version of iOS, so I guess iOS 17. So iOS 17 on the iPhone 15 might allow you to control the volume completely in the settings or using the capacitive volume buttons on the phone, but iOS 17 on the iPhone 14 does not allow you to do that. That'll be interesting, and it's extra work for them to do, like in terms of making that software. But yeah, in my opinion, the volume switch should have been gone a long time ago. So I'm gonna stop because I know I can ramble. And yeah, I am, as always, even though I don't plan on buying any of their products, I am looking forward to the announcement and release of the iPhone 15 later this year. So what are your thoughts and opinions on this whole volume situation? Is it a big deal? Am I making too much of a big deal out of it? Maybe. I don't know. And yeah, what are your thoughts?